Hi guys, and welcome back to the VCT Game Changers APAC Series Open
I'm
1. We
muted,
just
bro. Dude, I'm muted.
saw
It's
as
okay.
close
They
to
wouldn't
a
know. They wouldn't
stomp
know. We're
from
about to be
Team
live, dude.
SMG.
Chill out.
What are you doing? Hey,
Guys,
it's my shift. Yo,
They wouldn't know. What's fine, dude. I just wanted to cast the game. I love Valorant. I want to make the peeps proud.
I'm sorry, guys. What was that? I mean, that was me. Yes, that was not terror. That was.
we just gonna pretend that didn't happen, or
What do you mean? Nothing happened.
alrighty. Looks like a bit of a neither can live while the other survives type of situation. Kind of recognize your familiar background as well. Thank you, producers. Finally changing that tag down below. Welcome back to the desk, Raf. And guys, we just saw as close to a stomp from Team SMG over RRQ Kaguya to make it their number ninth 2-0 of this entire tournament so far. We're about ready to look at our second series for today. It's going to be Orangutan going up against Big Scythe in what we can pretty much call a revenge matchup, right? Because day number one, we saw Orangutan 2-0 over Big Scythe. They were the ones to drop Big Scythe down into the lower bracket in the first place. So a lot of history coming into today.
You know, I'm really appreciative of the fact that we get so many revenge matches just in the last few days alone, right? But I feel like this is more akin to Big Scythe's new version because the version of Big Scythe we saw versus Sapphire was just surprising to everybody, and it's just I wonder how Orangutan's gonna deal with it, basically.
I agree. We are going to take a look at the rosters from both these teams, starting out with Orangutan. And there on your screens, guys, we've got Casper, Japips, Capricious, Zinni, and Chloe TTW. And holy cow, has Capricious been stepping up for this team? That was pretty much the main question that we had coming into day number one, where we always talk about Orangutan. They are the team that has gone through so many roster changes in the history of Game Changers APAC in our region. This time around, they've lost their IGL sway as well as a couple of members here and there, and they've shown that they are worthy of the top 4 spot in Open 1.
Worthy is a word that I would love to hinge off because they have really gone the distance, and despite every single thing that's been ahead of them, and right now it's gonna be this version of Big Scythe, which has grown absolutely so well in just a matter of a few days, right? The things that we talked about, them kind of losing their nerve, especially in the second half of series, has somewhat disappeared. Instead, they've gotten a lot stronger. When the pressure is on, they realize, hey guys, we made it this far. We can still keep on pushing, we can still keep going, and all of these players who have their individual strengths. Again, March is one of them where we talk about she's not necessarily there for a lot of the volume fragging, but she's always there with the smokes, the proper utility, and when the going gets tough, March is always in the clutch, and she's always posing a threat to whoever they play against.
Whew, yeah, for sure. And I think that Big Scythe, especially coming back after their comeback victory over Sapphire yesterday, I mean, it's not something I think before day one, a lot of us here on the desk, a lot of the talents were going to predict. I mean, even just looking at Mapum from yesterday, we were like, oh, for sure, Sapphire's got this in the bag. They're going to make top 4. And then Big Scythe, your question, right, was, how much can they grow through this tournament and just how strong was their mentality going to be? I want to say just coming back from yesterday's second series already proves that they are here to play and already shows just how strong their mentality is. And thinking of like the matchup, the revenge match, I feel that for some teams they get a bit more nervous when they're like, oh, we've lost to this team 0-2 before. But for Big Scythe, I feel as if that's only going to work in their favor.
I feel like another thing that we asked of them early on was, have they really faced any of the more challenging teams. And this is not a knock on literally everybody they face and literally everybody they 6-0 on the way to the playoffs, right? Because I feel like them beating Sapphire in the way they did is going to give them such a great spark of confidence that they're going to come in super hot today. And we have Icebox, Ascent, and Haven right on the board here. And we've always talked about how Icebox is such a free-flowing map. It really will highlight individual prowess, especially with more explosive aiming and whatnot. But with everything said about Big Scythe, they might not come into this match as big of a mystery. In fact, they might just make Orangutan that much more wary.
Yeah, I mean, Icebox and Ascent, as you mentioned, a bit more fluid on Icebox. Ascent also just is one of those maps that where if you haven't prepped enough, it really shows in the rounds that end up happening. How do we think that this series is going to go after these map picks? Are we favoring either Big Scythe or Orangutan in any kind of way?
I want to say that this is going to go 2-1, but so far my accuracy on just the map number today has not been very good. In any case, we are probably going to see some sort of snowball. I mean, who knows what Big Scythe is going to do. They are a bit of a dark horse, and 6-0 again in the Swiss stage.
Phew, yeah, I mean, you've been pretty accurate on which team is going to win, not gonna lie. So it's just like, series score, which is like, whatever, I'll give it to you. You're still right. You're still like, this team's gonna make it.
And you're not wrong yourself, we've always brought, you've always brought
you.
great points that, keep me thinking. And wow, she's doing the whole thing now. It's like, you know what, Jenny? Never mind. Never mind.
I mean, come on, that is the point of competitions such as Game Changers, right? Which is you want to empower and grow the competitive women's gaming scene, not just for the competitive gamers, but for talent as well. I think yesterday, we saw a early introduction to the guest analyst Trix coming back as well onto the desk yesterday. It was just what we like to see. I mean, I loved her when she was on for some of the VCT segments for last year as well. Just always has a lot of insight and a lot of just thoughts and strats going on that she's more than happy to share with all of us. Just the spirit of Game Changers, right?
She is an absolute joy, just to be around in general. I mean, she's so good, and it never seems like it's bleeding into any form of ego. And she's a very well storied player, always making the right decisions, unlike my hair trying to fight me right now. Don't do it. I always win. I'm kidding. But again, going back to Trix, she has a lot of wisdom to share, as you mentioned, and she's so experienced. It never feels like she's belittling anyone. She always highlights the strengths of all the teams, all the players, and like I said, she is a godsend to everybody.
Yeah, and it's just talking about the players, right? It's just Game Changers. There are so many other players worthy of being highlighted as well. Yesterday, we saw that video of Ginny also about just her history, making it through from the other FPS games to today also. But I want to talk a bit about the players that we would like to highlight for this series, who we think is going to step up and who we think the performance for today is going to hinge on for their team. For example, Capricious maybe for Orangutan. What are we thinking? Who do we want to see?
I mean, I feel like Oreophilia also has some sort of, highlight on her right now, as there were quite a big, expectation on her shoulders, as well as Capricious. But I feel like before we can nerd out on it a little bit, I think we're going on a bit of a short break just to give everybody a chance to catch their breath.
money in the bank. Hit you with the money in the bank. Money in the bank. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the We wanna get it crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. We wanna get it crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Everybody round, everybody round here. Know we get hype. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Know we get hype. Get money.
Let's get the
Get money.
let's get the
Get money. Get money.
get the drop. Let's get the drop.
Get money. Get money.
shot to death last night. Now you're lying in my bed. Must have been a dream last night, but I can hear what you're saying. You were shot to death last night. Where's my cup of coffee? I was dreaming something bad last night. Can't you hear what I'm saying? One gunshot, and I forgot to look at you, to look at you, to look at you, to look at you. Two gunshots, and my thoughts. We're not with you, we're not with you, we're not with you, we're not with you. You were shot to death last night, and I thought of someone else. Didn't care about your life last night, at least less than about his. All our dreams were shot to death last night. I see the clock stand still. Nightmares at your heart sometimes, but this is unbelievable.
Hi guys, and welcome back to our second series of the day between Orangutan and Big Scythe. We are finally about ready to hop into Agent Select for map number 1, and it's going to be on Icebox. Raph, what are we expecting to see?
Well, what are we expecting from Big Scythe is an honest question that we've asked all throughout the tournament, because we saw how shaky they could be, and suddenly they come up and absolutely pull the wool over everybody's eyes and take Sapphire out. So if they can continue with that momentum, then I feel like Icebox is going to be a true test to how well shaped they are too in terms of just raw gun skill, because as we've noticed too, there's been so many situations where the teams are so willing to just fight it out and not like, you know what, hey, if this is how we're supposed to simplify the game and just get ourselves going, especially in the brawls in the latter halves of that series I just mentioned, right? Icebox is the perfect map to test out if they still have that heat, that retention is there and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's great that you're just talking about the raw gun skill. I wanted to also talk about just Big Scythe's growth from day number 1 up until this point. You're saying like sometimes like when they're on, but when they're not, they're kind of really not. So, I mean, I wanted to just pick your brain for a little bit because it's day 4, lower bracket. They've been playing every single day. Like, how much gas do they have left in the tank? Which Big Scythe do we think that we're going to see?
And with that question in mind, there's still a potential of a repeat later, right? So maybe, just maybe in the back of the minds of both of these teams, how can we pace ourselves? Or are we even allowed to pace ourselves, right? Because the stakes, they're up there. It's basically for tournament life. And I don't see anything that's deviating too much away from what we've seen already. Again, the Sage, the Viper comp, this is pretty much the Icebox comp that we've grown to love. I personally would have thought that a Harbor would have benefited any of these teams, considering the knack for just going for tempo and going for aggression. But Sage can still do that. It's just I feel like the application is going to be a little more different with less angles to cover. But the gas in the tank, we'll just have to find out. I mean, that's what we've been doing with Big Scythe all game long.
Oh man, don't tease me, man. That Harbor Viper, I've been waiting for that all week long, but it's not going to be this time. But guys, with that, we're about to find out if Big will manage to complete their miracle lower bracket run, or are Orangutan going to stamp their dominance by repeating their day 1 2-0 over Big Scythe. Of course, here to talk you through which way this pendulum is going to swing are, of course, Donut and Black and Blue. Guys, take it away.
Earlier, you had a D&D show. Now it's going to be the B&D show. Both of us wearing black and blue. This is Black and Blue and Donut casting your game for the most awaited one. Because yesterday, Big Scythe had a pretty big stomp against this team of Sapphire, right? Black and Blue, what do you expect now for this game? Especially we're going to be in the map of Icebox.
Well, here, Donut, it's a pleasure to be casting with you, especially with a match that is practically a rematch of what we saw a while ago, rather, a few days ago during the upper bracket side of things. Orangutan were able to come out of that 2-0, but you talked about that performance from Big Scythe yesterday versus Sapphire, able to take a map away from them and really take a series away, and that one was a big shocker. And when you really look at things here, Big Scythe, they've done really great things, and being able to eliminate a team like Sapphire, the team that really proved to be one of the most formidable last year, this really proves and bodes well for this squad. But opening map number 1 here is going to be Icebox. Let's get right into it as Orangutan are on the attack.
They are going to be pushing B this time. Something different from the team of OGT. We want to start things slow. But in terms of the defense here, it's going to be the Killjoy gadgets to greet them. Probably get the orb, and that confirms their push here towards B.
Taking their pace, for sure. Taking their time. Wall on up. Still stalling for the meantime before they do go for it. They want to press the issue. You can see Capricious tempted with the idea of pressing ever deeper. They should get the plant down without much of a hit, but the post plant is a big question and how it comes. Chloe quick on that opening pick. And to catch out Aruma gives them so much more viability in this post plant hold.
Yeah, definitely. With nothing else for them to try and stop in terms of the defense, right? Even for the retake potential. But they still have Yamori, though, who's leading the charge in terms of the retake. But will they check Capricious? Not really. There will be kills for Gwen, though, a double.
Alright, Dashi's back out, but wasn't to safety. Gwen's very low here, gonna be trapped between this crossfire. Casper finds that opening in the 1v2 as Crescent maybe could have some time to do this, but the swing's gonna be wide enough for her to get an angle. That forces her off, and that's the round. No time left remaining. And Orangutan, a bit hairy in the end, almost, but for the most part, had and remained in control of the situation.
Yeah, Aruma being taken down was the start of that spark, of that flame, though, for OGT to win this map. But with a double kill for Gwen and how she was positioned, Casper did take her down at first, but there was still Presence surviving and getting the kills. That wall, though, I don't know if it was intentional for it to be placed vertically instead of horizontally in the map. But that gap was something that really won OGT that round. So placement for your utility is everything, plus the timing.
Yeah, definitely, I think, was intentional. But it can be something that's very effective, especially against rifles when you know they can melt that wall easier, right? Because you have more blocks to go through. But in that case, as you were, right, horizontally, maybe could have been a bit different. But let's let bygones be bygones. It's the opening pistol. It's on the defensive side, not necessarily typically favored to win that bout anyways. In that fact, let's get on over to the next one. Guardian out on Capricious, and you're looking at here the backside control being established by Big. They do not want to give up the site as of the moment. They kind of want to play this anchor, but with that wall giving them a freer entry, how do they play this now that they can play a retake with pistols?
They have to just really play it close, but with all the abilities thrown in, it pushes OGT back, and Gwen is able to take the opportunity to do so. And Chloe and Casper, it is going to be a spray down towards the back. If you are clumped together at the back of the site, right, you are prone to a lot of the damage, especially with the crossfire set up by OGT. And looking at how this panned out, wall was broken, but that was also an opening for Casper to be able to throw in a couple of these shots, a couple of damage done, and no casualty for OGT for that round, except for Zinni.
Yeah, clean round here, Donut. Flawless by every sense of imagination for the most part. As you said, Zinni don't want to go down, but that's fine. They can live with that. That's no hitch at all. Gun round down for Big to come into this. Walls committed on either side for Orangutan on the attack towards B, but it seems like A is where they want to aggress.
It's going to be an A hit again, but they have to be careful about those shots. Capricious with that Guardian. A little bit of a warning, but Crescent's here. Boosted up this wall. These are some unconventional plays that we want to see from the likes of Big Scythe. Capricious fakes out a dash, but immediately just backs away. the wall was spent not to try and cover the site, but really more for that information play. But confirmed though, nobody else is here, not unless Capricious does give herself away.
I'm looking at, the composition here that Big Scythe decided to pull on in, and I'm wondering why they went with this mirror match comp with the Sage on Crescent instead of where we've seen that Harbor and be very effective in the past as well. They lost versus Sapphire the one time last time around, so maybe that's why they swapped on off. But Zinni with that ghost that we saw be pulled on in, we get to find the opening pick.
First pick there confirms Capricious with that quick kill with a Guardian. Yamori though responds as well, but Precision is Capricious's nickname. And the Ruma here is just waiting for that push, and Japeeps is punished for that peek.
Last player standing.
Damage being done here, and these rifles, they're not working out. Chloe gets the opening to the last 2 kills, rather, and that gives her the res. Orangutan convert the bonus. And Big, that was a round that they needed here early in the game. You lose your rifles like that without putting much of a fight up, can bode very sourly down the line.
Even with that buy right, OGT, without their position towards that push, I think they covered all of the ground towards the site. Capricious was actually in a very aggressive position using that Guardian, and with Japeeps as that ultimate sacrifice for that round, information was done and cascaded to the team, and that's why they were able to bring them down. Capricious in a very peculiar spot though. Let's see what will happen here mid.
Well, the fight is winning. Running 3-1 here by Orangutan for sure. Gwen and Yamori able to find 2 for the side of Big. Maybe a 3rd. That would help benefit them for sure. I'll give her the tailwind as well to continue the fight. But while we got a bit of time to talk, once more, I am really curious about this switch up by Big to opt for the mirror match, knowing that Orangutan like playing this comp. You know where she is right now. I don't expect much of a fight unless she can close the gap, but the Harbor composition that we did see be pulled out here by Big in these past tournament was, I think, really effective. You look at how they were able to play against Capybara. Yes, they struggled versus Sapphire, but then Sapphire is also one of the best teams on Icebox in general, so if I were them, I wouldn't be too dissuaded by that. I really think that when you combine the strengths of that Harbor plus Viper, much to akin of what we saw yesterday, that can be a really beneficial thing and can really, I guess, shake up a much more experienced team here, in this case, like Orangutan.
Yeah, maybe because this is going to be their last straw, and they didn't really want to risk at all using the Harbor, so they played with something more to stop how OGT would play. Meaning, if you know Capricious will be very, very aggressive, you need all of those walls, those low orbs, to actually counter that type of aggression. And I think that's what Yamori just did.
Oh.
She was able to get that kill.
You will
That is
not
a nice
kill
pick.
my ally.
They have the res up online, but it doesn't go traded. Chloe able to fend Yamori off as the shot doesn't connect. Almost could have found it in retaliation. The mid lurk given on up. That sends them rotating towards B, where they have the wall placed anyway, so this isn't too out of the question. The question is here, though, to be proposed. Will Yamori be able to reposition in time? And it seems to be the case. She has the cross, but that should be blocked off by the Viper wall going up. March here playing the yellow. Gets that pick and falls back.
Easily. So Chloe is ready for that push, but the spike is exposed. There will be a cloudburst to cover, but Capricious, she's struggling to find the heads. But Big Gwen gets the double. What a big win for them after 4 rounds of OGT.
Orangutan finally go down in the round here. The operator coming in big for Yamori and for Big Scythe. And for March to be able to really drop Zinni first, that allows this op to, maybe find a bit more angles. He's able to push the pressure as well, the pace on the attacking side for Orangutan, but ultimately enough, the defense just a bit more prepared for what Orangutan were doing.
Big Scythe, though, would you say that if a Harbor was into play, they would actually protect the sites better? I think that's going to be a question.
I think so, and you brought up they don't want to maybe have that risk of having a Harbor, but I think this is a bigger risk to have the Sage because it's the Harbor that they're a bit more used to playing. Their past 5 matches.
Yeah. And I would want to say that Presence, though, as the stage, probably would be going for a Gwen Sage for this specific map. But of course, we've seen her play the Sage. She's so stellar. But this time, the Presence, she's pushing too forward. And there are kills for the ones defusing the spike, but the lockdown is still in play.
Yeah, the lockdown buys him that space. And now Yamori pushing on forward. Can tap the spike. Actually going for the half-ear donut with the blades on out. Iruma from the flank gets a big kill. Casper holds onto it for the meantime, though. 30 seconds left on the clock. Rather, 30 HP on either side with a few more seconds left on the clock to tap that defuse. On the swing, though. Doesn't catch her. It's Casper getting them to 5th.
This is a great round, but I noticed that all of these rounds are very, very close. It all just boils down to that split decision making when it comes to the 2v2 or the 1v2. Big Scythe, they chose to push forward, thus the placement of that lockdown to try and destroy it. But with how they usually would look at, I think that mistake was just gearing their eyes towards the heaven and not really looking at where the nest is, or at least the Killjoy, who usually is planted towards the right side here where they currently are with the Precious. They're gonna go back in A, even if they did have success in B. They don't want to switch it up. Probably just exhaust all of their options here in A before they switch.
Well, they're trying to see at the very least, poke and prod what they can find. That's an option to take. Presence quick on the trade, but the Pips is even more ready to open up the site here. He's gotten 2 for herself, 3 for the team as a whole in the round. 4v2, every advantage on their sake, and with that, those kills pull the defense away from B and allows the rotation and the plan to get on that B site now. Big Scythe struggling here on the eco. Not much done so far.
Not a lot, but they do have a chance if they get the kills with the Sheriff. Don't necessarily have Sova as well when it's down, so information is going to be key. That was why Iruma fell down to the hands of Casper. No idea where they are, and there are going to be quick kills here. Chloe just enjoying, celebrating their 6th round on the board. What I love about how Orangutan is playing is they know when to actually pull away. They know when to pull back. And Japeep's just confirming those 2 kills. They know that there might be already rotations for Big. And I think that's one of the questions that we have. Until when can you try and anchor the site? And when do you actually rotate and help out your teammates? Big Site, they seem to be struggling with that decision.
Until what point, right? When do you really know when to cut your losses? And that comes with, obviously, a more well-rounded approach to the game. And Big Scythe, surprising results, I think, by all means, yesterday versus that Sapphire squad. To remove them from the run here, that was impressive. But they're going up against this Orangutan squad, who we also have seen some pretty impressive things. They were able to take a map away from that RRQ squad. And let's not forget, the first time around, once more, yeah, Orangutan, they beat this Big Scythe squad, and they left, curiously enough, when it came to that, Orangutan chose to ban Pearl in their first series in the upper bracket and left Icebox as the decider, but we never got to Icebox. We played Ascent, we saw them play Haven, but they never reached that map number 3 as Orangutan took them out 2-0, and now we're seeing possibly the continuation of that. So if this is akin to what would have happened during those other maps a while ago, rather those upper maps in the previous time, then Big have a big task on their hands.
If only Big Scythe was able to win out and close Ascent, then that would have been the better situation, right? They lost their own map, and this time they have selected Ascent yet again. Maybe they learned from their lessons and they want to try and test Icebox this time.
Well, that's a big test to be put on Up March. Gets traded out immediately after finding Capricious. They have the res to kind of secure the count advantage here on the players. Orangutan now can get that wall back on up. They're looking, you can see their wall. It's placed towards Snowman. They want to be able to take that Snowman away here from Big Scythe. But it can be a very difficult thing, knowing the operator is still up online for Big.
And then just stay quiet. Last time they did, they rotated towards B. And it's all just gonna be a distraction. Now that the silence is gone, they push out forward.
Oh, Aruma, big kill on Zinni. That drops the wall and now enables Gamori here in the operator to do much more damage. Aruma finds a follow-up. So does Gamori. It's all now on the Casper. She's not the friendliest ghost you've ever seen, isn't she? Whiffs the shot up close. That could have been the window of opportunity. Spike, not planted. Dropped here towards the default. Hopping on over. They know Casper is underneath. They know she's in hell. Here comes on out the Nano Swarm. Gonna keep her at bay. And on the cross, Gwen is ready. They all circumvent him. And Big Scythe, they take their second round.
Yeah, that was a great defense here. Crescent's on her way towards A. They were just left with the Ruma and as well as Yumori. But the hold was amazing. Each angle that they covered, they got the kill. And Casper was just left all alone in a 1v3. A little bit of a panic there for Yumori as she whiffs that shot of that operator. But at the end of the day, with the team now circling around her, that was just really something to really be a threat to Casper at that point.
Certainly lots of threats here from Big Scythe with that operator up on Yumori. There's also the lockdown. The threat of that happening alerts Orangutan. How can they play their post plant? They have the Hunter's Fury on Japips to remove that if it ever does come to play. But what if it's burned earlier? What if Japips goes down? What if she's the first one to get picked off from Orangutan, Big Scythe? They have that pressure tool as well as the Viper's Pit to utilize.
Yeah, but they really have to come close to the site. It's going to be quite hard, especially that Yumori still has that operator. But there is a rat coming through that tunnel. Notices that there is that alarm bot there. Once that's triggered, maybe that can trigger our rotation as well for the team of Big Scythe. Another distraction play, but it seems as if Big has learned their lesson. They focus their eyes where it matters most. Drone is spotted.
Shot ringing out, alerts him to where Yumori with that operator is. Wall has not been put on up. Allows Crescents to be able to wave and dodge and weave within the site. Gets two. Yumori on that kill. Zinni on the flank, able to catch up Garuma, but the damage has been done. This should pull the defense to have to worry about that flank a bit more. She needs to get another kill here, but it's shut down immediately. It's all on the Casper once more, all alone. Shot doesn't connect, but it doesn't matter. There's no time. There's no one to help her. And Crescent gets the third. Big Scythe finally string 2 rounds in a row here to cut that lead in half.
Yeah, I think that what I noticed for that round and the last few rounds would be really gazing their eyes upon the objective of defending the site. Usually, they said that it would be easier for us to retake with the numbers, but eventually they lose the round because the angles were not held the way that they wanted it to be. This time with Yumori, just really being patient with that operator was really miles away from how they played the first 5 rounds.
It's a difficult scenario for sure. Orangutan, as you said, you know, the angles that they want to hold sometimes, whatever their generality of the plan, when it doesn't work out, they seem to struggle with the mid round, or rather, in this case, the late round, where if plan A doesn't work out, what's plan B? It never really seems to come as fluidly for this Orangutan squad as a quick technical timeout, but we can let that pass as it's gone already. But yeah, Orangutan struggling to deal with Yumori, especially when Zinni's the first one to get picked off. It can be very difficult without the flash comp as well on your side to be able to, you know, block the sight lines and get themselves within that site before, you know, Yumori is able to get a kill with that op.
Contingency plan should be in place for Orangutan. They would need it the most though. There is that orb, but this time Yumori is going to be in B.
Well, they know of this now. Question is, how do they deal with it? And that has been a big problem for Orangutan, right? They'd find where the op is and still can do the proper steps to be able to dismantle that. They have the wall here towards default. You should expect Yumori to try and dip into this. They tag her on up. They see where she is through that Sova Dart, clear out yellow. But how does the plant go? Shot rings on out. They have second floor control. This spike, it's not as easily plantable as they thought.
Yeah, not at all, especially with all of Veruma's utilities planted on the ground. And with that Viper's Pit it might be Yamori's window of opportunity to come in and try and stop the plant. But Casper has another idea. She wants to catch him off guard from behind.
Oh, shot brings out once, doesn't connect once more. Capricious on the danger. She is in danger here. A third goes her way. It's all on the march, who's simply found from the flank on orange. Orangutan finally answer back, but look at how close it came so many times. They were pretty fortunate that in a bunch of opportunities there, the operator here from Yamori wasn't able to connect. Otherwise, it could have been a very different story.
Yeah. I think what Castor relayed to Capricious at that point was so vital to win that round. They knew that Gwen would be rotating there towards orange, so Capricious already had her eyes on her even after that wall of a curtain went down. So that was a good communication point for them. But as you mentioned, right, how are they able to string more of these rounds together if they're not too careful about their contingency plans? And Yamori finding her way and taking space away from Orangutan.
And taking that space away is something you typically see reserved a bit more when talked about for the attacking side, but it can equally be as effective for the defense to be able to make that attacking execute a lot more uncomfortable. Here comes on out the push though from the lockdown.
And the lockdown will not catch anybody else. Maybe the timing was a little bit off for them because all of the damage done with all of those turrets, those nano swarms, but the Hunter's Fury can connect. Yamori shots though, they do.
And this is what they needed from Yamori. Yes, the operator can be deadly, but on a retake situation, you would want that rifle to be abound on your duelist. You need that entry potential. You need that fragging capability. The flank here, it's a bit late from Zinni, but we're gonna have to watch out for it. It could be the crucial piece to this puzzle. Casper denies the defuse, so does Chloe. Yurima trying to stick it as she gets a kill as well. Here comes down Japeep Seer from the generator, creating her own noise. It's all on Ruma, who simply doesn't have enough HP to continue the fight. Orangutan getting another round here. Their attacking side looking pretty good.
Yeah, definitely good. But they spent two ultimates at that round. Lockdown was placed. Space was given to them for the site, but not for long because they've already rotated. Big Scythe has already rotated. Even with the Hunter's Fury into play, doesn't really make the frag, but at least with how the spike was planted onto the site, just a couple of sprays, then the diffuser will be down. But if the smokes were still present, it could have been Big Scythe's round.
Definitely so, but I think here, the fact that Yamori isn't able to buy the operator up once more, this could help them out. Sometimes just because you have the economy to buy an operator doesn't mean you should be. Especially if the way things are going is like that. But Casper, what a shot she finds on the fadeaway.
That was a great shot for her. Wants to be safe, but here we go. It's going to be another A. But Gwen is using her Hunter's Fury. No tag.
Nothing just yet. They deny, or at least delay the plant for the meantime. Triple flank to come on out here as the res comes up online. Casper's gonna have to do it once more. Will she win the second bout? They fade away into it. He still gets one on the follow-up, and Yamori gets a second here on the retake. Chloe keeping them at bay on the site. They have site control right now, 3v2. Yamori absolutely incredibly low here, but she's a very difficult player to try and fend off in this case. Will she even check the right angles? She gets the third kill. She gets the fourth. Going for the ace. Capricious holding it down, and she gets the clutch anyways. 9-3 as Orangutan hold on.
Switching sides.
That was an amazing round for Capricious and an amazing half for Orangutan. Well, let's have to hear the panel because there's a lot for Big Scythe to do, and I want to hear what Raph says and Ray too.
Thanks, Donut Blue. OGT flew out of the gate 4-0 to take things to a 9-3 half. Ref, you had some thoughts about how the pace of this game is being set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned earlier...
Ref, your mic.
Ooh. Oh, yes. Anyway, guys, let's just go for a quick breeze through that. My fault, I was doing my impression of, Anyway, Guys, so the biggest thing about this whole match is that whoever gets their feet planted first onto the site is usually the one that wins out the round. And I feel like there's some behavioral tendencies too on both sides, really, if not more apparent on Big Scythe, that would probably mesh better with a Harbor. And I know that's been brought up by both our casters quite a few times. And I feel like my biggest example of that is the round 5 hold, where I believe it was Yamori on that operator on the jet, got the pick. I think the res was denied there, but the wall was the most interesting part on the Viper. Now imagine if we had the Harbor wall. Yes, you would still have that aggressive potential, but you also have the anchor ability of a Viper and potentially to save that wall for a retake, which I feel like has been sorely lacking on the side of Big Scythe as well. It had to come in the form of preemptive defense instead of reactive defense, which I feel like has kind of put them in a bit of a hole here.
Yeah, I mean, in the words of Black and Blue, right, just because you have the economy to buy the operator doesn't mean that you always should. Ref, before we toss it back to our casters, I wanted to ask, when we go for this swap, is there anything significant that we're hoping to see coming out from Big Scythe?
Well, Big Scythe, we know that they're, I guess, the more proactive team. It's just really the follow-through. They get that first kill, but they have to make sure that they have a game plan going into it, especially in a mirror match like this. And the decisiveness and just clarity in general should be what pushes them over the hill. But with 9-3, I mean, you know the curse, but that's still a lot of rounds to catch up on.
9-3 curse, will that be true today? With that, guys, we are going to hand it back over to Donut and Black and Blue.
Okay, we're right back into it here, Donut. 9-3. And I have to ask you, are you a superstitious person? Because we've seen this curse come many times before.
I really am not. It just really is about it really is about the performance. Like, I would really say that I'm more scientific. Like, for me, stats don't lie, but I think Team SMG has proven otherwise. So for me, I would really have to say that the role and the steam is gonna go to Orangutan. But with Big Scythe and their attack, and with how Yamori is actually just being so aggressive, being so confident, that might be something that OGT have to watch out for.
Well, confidence is a key for sure. And Yamori, she has that in spades, but you're gonna need just a bit more to get over the hump right now. It's a big deficit for sure to start off the half. Japeeps finds that contact information towards mid. Now Orangutan have a choice here. Do they stay onto their sites or try and stack one?
They are just gonna stay. They're anchored and planted on the site. And it's gonna be a tricky one because it's Zinni and as well as Casper, both quote-unquote anchors for the team.
Yeah, it's up to them to hold on to this Donut, and I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to deny this plant. As you can see, Big Scythe, they're going towards A. They faked this out.
It's so effective. Now, the anchors are left with question marks over their head. It's just gonna be a notification that the spike has been planted and they all scramble back.
Oh, but Yamori's making noise here. Now they know of this. Isn't able to find the kill, get some damage done, but still wins out the fight. That was a huge one. Now that wall cannot be used for the retake. And Japips, he gets a kill off of the flank as well. Marchi there at the ready to get the trade. Chloe, he has a wall to potentially stick his defuse, and nobody's there to deny the plant. The defuse, rather. They have a nanoswarm at the very least, and that buys them the time they need. Mori on the flank gets the one, and things are being shut down here on Orangutan. It's Big Scythe. They finally get around where they need to.
Win. Show me where to go.
Yeah, that wall was actually something that didn't help them at all. It only covered one angle, but if you are Yamori, if you are Crescents, you'd want to cover all of your bases, and that's what they did. They had the high ground, they had the low ground, and when it comes to Big Scythe, right, with how they played during the defense, they're good at those things. And if OGT, they don't really cover all of these angles, and especially with Japeeps, they're not really checking corners. That might be what Big Scythe has to offer for the attacking rounds.
To offer what was lacking during that first half, and it seems like here, Big Scythe, to have that kind of fake out play, give him a different look. Certainly seems to be the case that they're really starting to diversify this map.
And a quick kill there for Capricious.
Okay. We see you. Nice shot. That gets him the pick that they need really in this case.
But the diversity is now here in B. The wall is down, and there is going to be a safe plant.
Not much of a problem here to get that plant down. They have the weapons advantage here, Donut. The Phantom on Yomori is going to help secure even more damage and even more dominance in this case. Wall goes down. They can fight these long angles for the meantime. Sheriff drops. And Yomori gets another kill. Follow-ups could come on in, but Yomori's just way too quick. Dashes back out to safety. Scan confirms the presence, but it doesn't matter. That's a fourth for Yomori before she goes down. Pips knows this round is done, and as it should be. Big Scythe takes fifth.
With Yomori there up top, right, and with the wall covering, and the rest trying to scrape that ice off to get the defuse. Yomori just saw every head. And even with this shot, right, Capricious, this is what won them that round. Yomori's, you mentioned diversity, and with how versatile she is in the map, this is going to be a threat to OGT. With that Phantom as well, and quick shots from her. And look at her KDA at the moment. Healthy at 19 and 12. She's doing all of the work and the heavy lifting.
Revealing
But
area.
the rest, they also have to work for this attack. Has to be a team effort. And OGT, they're very good on those team efforts.
For sure. We saw that team play be a big part of the reason why, you know, they've gotten this far in this tournament. The Blades come on in here, perfect with a scan, could not follow up on the shot. Peeps backs up into safety, and they're trying to split this side. They're trying to go from the screens, but Casper, she gets the opening kill and halts the push here, halts the momentum for just a bit. They get the pick off, but the plant ultimately will go down here on the retake. Here comes on in now. Big Scythe to play further back.
Yeah, I love their post-plant position. Immediately, they know there are footsteps here, but do they check up Precious?
Your fault.
Marsh wasn't checking that corner, and now they are surrounded.
Precious here though, on the swing, and Orangutan, they're making this hold work on out without much of a problem at all. Flawless round here. On the retaliation as Big Scythe. They had a good plan and diversified, you know, what they did there to really shake up Orangutan. But Casper and Peeps, they were ready for that push, and Capricious securing a main helped that retake even more so.
Yeah, that quick movement on towards that post-plant position was a great decision for Big Scythe, but they didn't know that Capricious was behind them. At this point, they really have to have their eyes at the back of their head as well. If they think that the defense will just rotate from spawn, then you're wrong. Capricious can come from anywhere.
Capricious, for her to be just a constant threat from multiple different positions, that's a big thing. But it's Yomori right now who follows up here on the space. Chloe trying to go for that orb, but really unsupported in that attempt.
Not at all. There was an attempt to take back that orb, but Yomori was ready to deny anything from OGT. Information not gonna get anything spotted though by that owl drone, which confirms that Capricious can actually move a bit forward. She's really good at trying to take space away from Big Scythe, but will she be ready with Crescent? Is she leading the charge here towards the A?
Capricious. Crescent who finds that kill. On the swing from Capricious on the Jenny. They have backside control here, which is huge for them to hold on to. But Zinni swings left, swings right, and hits both punches. They know that backside. Oh no! Snakebite did not connect. And allows Zinni to get the trade, to get the third. It's all in Iruma. She knows where Zinni is and confirms the kill, but that could have been so dangerous for Big Scythe.
Yeah, it's the battle of the anchors at that point, right? The missed snake bites from March. You'd think that was already something that would contribute to a win for OGT, but actually it was Casper's early peak. Zinni wasn't ready, and Iruma knows where Zinni was at that point, and that anticipation from Iruma to clutch out that round 1v2 was just them catching what was their anticipation. And in terms of expectations, Iruma has been very, very great as this Killjoy. And I think Killjoy is a perfect agent for her playstyle. She's very methodic when she throws in her alarm bots, her nano swarms. This is gonna be a big threat for them, especially if you're gonna be expecting a fuck from her.
Kill my ally.
Well, Zinni, she gets a kill. The res comes and returns a favor here, Gwen. It's a big Scythe. Looking pretty good so far in the round. Capricious has an opportunity here to get a kill and back on off. Doesn't connect the blades. And now this alerts Big Scythe through that mid presence. Follows up with a fifth one, the last one in her arsenal. And allows Big Scythe, rather Orangutan, to equalize the odds here just a bit more.
I am the hunter.
There is that hunter too to try and stop the plants. But Capricious actually catches Aruma with the retrieval of that gun though. That was a punishment. And as well as Casper with her own.
Screen down.
Now it's down to Marsh. We saw her miss a couple of her utilities, but do her bullets miss? That is the question.
Well, she has 2 snake bites still here to deny that defuse, or at least delay it. Oh, time. This will allow the half. She gives herself away, and Japip still finds it anyways. Unfortunate scenario here. She did not have her orb for that spike as it was towards mid. And Orangutan, often forced by really blades. Spectres is all they had coming into this, and they still come out on top.
Yeah, it was Capricious's blade, right? How do you maximize what you currently have in your arsenal? I think Capricious is one of those players who can get away with these rounds with just the Blade Storm and them just using their positions to their advantage, playing together the duo between Capricious and Japeeps towards mid. And their position is everything, because even if they have the B site, Casper was there towards Kitchen to catch them. And Yamori, when her eyes was gazed at Capricious and Japeeps, she was so distracted.
Well, Orangutan should know of this B site hit to come. The alarm bot, they're trying to find it. They finally do, but they can hear all this noise coming. I'm surprised Orangutans don't rotate just yet. They're trying to be diligent, but they have the wrong read in the situation. It's only going to be those 2 anchors we talked about. Zinni and Casper still alive here, and both of them go down to Yamori. Those were the picks they needed, and now they have free reign to push the issue here and regain control.
That was 2 quick kills and great ones. We're just the sheriff. We were talking about how do we maximize what we currently have, and Yamori just proved that they can. And with Presence with that big plan, but she will be punished. Yamori, though, with that Vandal gets another one.
2v4 here on the retake. Rifle for Yamori. She can drop it to a fellow teammate of hers and pop her blades. That option is available. Tailwind prepped, but it's about to expire. That makes her rather play a bit further back. No, she can't play those aggressive angles as cleanly or as safely. The defuse here being denied with all the utility. Chloe trying to go for it. If Yamori has a 4th, the round is done. There's no more time. And the ace for Yamori in such a crucial round to deny match point.
Such a great round for Big Scythe, and Yamori just opening up everything. I guess Yamori is going to be that type of person for the team that doesn't just lift and allow the rest of the players to do their own thing, but she hovers her ground. She knows when to push forward, she knows when to pull back. She's already recovered that Vandal. If you were another player, you would have the guts to peek out, right? Because you already have a rifle. But no, she wanted to stay with the rest of the team because they needed that round.
Making sure she doesn't give up an advantage right early, and especially when they need one so desperately. They're on the eco in that case, and you'd want every advantage you can take. Send Orangutan now into a more difficult economic state. Up on the ropes! The Stinger able to do so much work up close, and Capricious and Casper! Look at how they're able to find these kills! It's suddenly crumbling down for Big Scythe. Aruma goes down to Capricious, and when they had the advantage, Orangutan simply spin it their way.
Let's end this.
They return the favor with another thrifty win.
That crossfire wasn't really identified by the team of Big Scythe. They just used that rope freely, tried to get to the site safely, but when it's Capricious and as well as Casper defending it, that's gonna be something that Big should look out for. There weren't any recon bolts or drones sent their way. That's why they got away with those triple kills when they went to the site.
And isn't that the crux of the problem really here for Big Scythe? They aren't able to identify a lot of the things Orangutan are throwing at them correctly. They do, or at least they should know about this Viper's Pit coming on in here, but can they recognize a lot of times that when Zinni's somewhere on site, Casper is close by, so the Killjoy utility could also be placed here. That's going to be a difficult thing to confirm that they're using this Viper wall, rather this toxic Viper's Pit, towards the screens, which we have seen in the past. Lockdown displays within it, can be destroyed. He spams it at the perfect time, and because they're low through it, Casper gets a kill.
That wall's gonna give them extra coverage. What they don't know, Zinni is still here on the site, still lurking around.
Spike planted.
She spots out ahead. A great recovery for Zinni.
This is what they need in this moment. She's anchoring things down. It's Big Scythe. Struggling to really find much going their way. And Casper still wins that. Iruma goes down and so does March. And that is around the map. Number 1 goes towards Orangutan. And so far, they have yet to drop a map versus Big Scythe.
Big Scythe looking a bit grim here and their own map pick. Oh, so sorry, this was Orangutan's map pick, but I think you made a point there. If they showed us the harbor, then it would have been a different story. OGT just better with that agent composition for sure.
I really do think so, that, if they pulled out that harbor, it could have been a different thing. To quote Trix, who was with us on the broadcast yesterday, when it comes to big tournaments like this, it's not the time for you to try and go experimental. We saw that harbor be played 4 to 5 times in the past in this tournament alone. They lost the last time against it, but I still think it would have worked out better. But I am a mere caster. I want to hear the analysis of our panel. So, True and Raph, what you guys think?
Thanks, guys. Orangutan is going to be the team to draw first blood in today's elimination matchup. Big looking solid after the switch at first, picking up pistol, picking up the next round, but ultimately dropping that map 7 and 13. Raph, what did we think?
Well, we did think of a lot of things, especially looking at that game. But before any of that, just mere caster, I don't know. That's coming from one of my longest teammates from when we used to compete. I don't know, man. I hate it when people just don't recognize how good they are. But with that out of the way, I feel like that we talked about the proactivity on Big Scythe side, and inherently with their playstyle, they will find a lot more success. The only problem I feel like that they were encountering is that OGT is an incredibly reactive squad, and they're very good at recognizing how the enemy team reacts. And with that, again, OGT, with gauging how Big Scythe would react to how they would throw all their utility, and again, just identifying where Yamori would be positioned is already such a big thing.
I mean, this just looks like straight up battle of the Jet players right here between Capricious and Yamori's Jet, just going absolutely head to head. Yamori also, like that round, what was it, 18 ace to stop OGT from getting to match point in the first place. I mean, just absolute treat to watch. Like, both of these girls deserved MVP for sure.
Absolutely, and Yamori had that, my goodness, sickening ace to keep her team alive. And with her being one of the oldest members of this Big Scythe squad, and by that I mean just tenure, I'm glad that she's taken up the responsibility to be the spearhead, to once again set the pace for how they want to approach the game. I still am a firm believer that they probably would have found more success if they leaned in towards that proactivity on their side. Maybe get the harbor, maybe get something a little more aggressive too in terms of intel, maybe go double innie. But with all things said and done, that is still a lot of data being harvested for the rest of the series. And we're just going to see how both these teams really got at each other with the highlights very, very soon.
Yeah, and just some of the stats in favor of OGT, right? With the 12 first kills, also 9 out of 9 post plans, compared to Big Scythe's 4 out of 7. But we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the map number 1. Some operators.
Speaking of that operator, and I've always said this about just the gun in general and how teams would utilize it. The first 30 seconds, if you really can't find anything with it, I feel like there has to be a rotation. And I think Black and Blue hit the nail right on the head. When you're a duelist, and especially when you're on the Jet, yes, the operator will find its strength, but the ARs, the main assault rifles, just have that much more flexibility. And that's just more reliability. And you saw Capricious clutch that round out. We almost saw Yamori go nuclear. But like you mentioned earlier, it has been a Jet versus Jet battle.
We got any thoughts on who we think the MVP from F1 is going to be?
I feel like there's so many candidates, especially with Zinni. I mean, there were just so many heads-up plays on the side of Zinni. But of course, it is Capricious, the spearhead, the absolute blade of Orangutan, slicing through the competition, at least for map number 1.
Okay, respectfully, like with all due respect, what is this headshot percentage? 52.5. Okay, she's on Jet, you know, it gets a little bit of boost when you do have your ult, but like that's just bonkers numbers. That's crazy numbers from Capricious, as you mentioned, just the blade, the point of this entire Orangutan team, and just showing up so clutch and so big for her team time and time again.
Time and time again, and it does induce a lot of confidence, right? When you're breaking through defenses so reliably and just being able to, once again, the essence of the game, to win the duels. And that really hinges off, hey, we can do the set play, and we know that it's going to go our way, especially with such a ridiculous stat line as Capricious did provide.
All right, guys, all on the line for Big Scythe. Are we going to see history repeat itself with an OGT 2-0? Well, we'll find out right after this break.
We wanna get it crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. We wanna get it crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. Get money.
Let's get the
Get money.
let's get the
Get money. Get money.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Map 2 Series 2, day number 4 of the VCT Game Changers APAC series. Orangutan this time around sitting on series point, whereas Big Scythe fighting for their tournament lives here on a Saturday afternoon. Of course, I'm your host, Jenny Julie. With me on the panel is the talented, not Tayrar, Raph, this time around. Twinning, how are we feeling going into this map 2?
Well, thank you for once again buttering me up with that intro, of course. We have our lovely host here to do just that. And I am honestly feeling very confident into playing into OGT. They have been playing to their strengths, and I love the way they handled that previous half, especially with how Big Scythe was super proactive. Again, that only means they're giving up so much data for OGT to pick apart. But of course, we're going to move into Ascent, which is one of the more default-heavy maps. And, well, speaking of the default and reactions, I feel like OGT's had a bit of an advantage because we do see them pull out a little bit more. They tend to go for, hey, can we still potentially re-hit the site, or should we reassess and find another point of interest or a point of contact? I feel like Big Scythe, despite all their firepower and just really the evolution they've shown, they still have to add a little bit more temperance in their playstyle.
I agree. I think this is going to be really interesting considering that we have Ascent and then Haven as a decider if this does go to map number 3, because they're kind of maps where you really need to have prepped well for these maps. If you don't prep well, it really shows. And I think just the way that map number 1 went also, right? We were kind of seeing a bit of a momentum shift, and we were talking during the halftime during map 1 also. It looks like for both these teams, it's whoever makes that first move can kind of get the momentum in their favor this time around. About ready to hop into Agent Select for series number 2. Anything out of the ordinary you think we might see? I love that Oreo's on Astra. Sorry.
It's okay. I don't think we saw Oreophilia earlier, if I am not mistaken. Again, my memory may betray me, and you were absolutely right on the money as you mentioned that typically the team that made the first move, again, no room to be timid here. This is, after all, for tournament life. And honestly, with the KO here, maybe, just maybe, Orangutan have that much more ability to shut off the initial contact. But of course, knowing the breach can safely play out of the range of his initiator counterpart. Oh my goodness. And with that being said, the stuns that Breach has in his arsenal is also going to prove fairly problematic when the post plant does come. But the KO ult always has so much potential.
Yep, all right, guys. And with that, we are going to hop into game for map number 2, series 2 of the day. Of course, not without the voices of our lovely casters, Donut and Black and Blue.
And we're right back. Thank you very much, Jenny and Raph. Map number 1, certainly a decisive one here. Donut coming from what we've seen on the Orangutan side, but I'm curious to see if we can see a bounce back from Big Scythe.
Yeah, I mean, with Oreophilia playing now in this map and similar composition when they went against OGT, I think during the second day of the Open, right, for the playoffs, this might be a huge turnaround for the team. And just a little bit of a fact here, when Big Scythe defeated Sapphire, they weren't playing with Oreophilia. They did so well without her, but then probably this might be the X factor for this specific map in a sense, especially if she's going to be playing Astra with all of her utilities, or all of that Nova Pulse, and as well as that Gravity well timed. That might be what OJT will actually let them slow down when it comes to the map of Ascent.
Well, they have Oreophilia back, and curiously enough, the last time they did play this here, Big Scythe, we saw Oreophilia be on the breach with, them swapping on over. It seems to be a very different approach here. This time around, you have Oreophilia on the Astra, very different composition that they bring on in. Crescent's in the game still, considering everything that we saw a while ago, and it's Marche who isn't in this. Yuruma still on that Killjoy, so there's really lots to be swept on up here. It's Big Scythe, they're on the defense.
But Capricious is going to be quick here to go towards B, but this is all a distraction. Zinni has already taken a kill here while they take mid control.
Here, Yamori gets found here by Casper. 3v4. They should be able to get this plant down. Yuruma, he's going to be the tip of the spear on this retake. They have a flank coming on your alert, coming on that the short position, and Oreophilia gets a catch here on the Japips. 3v3. They have a good hold within the site, but it could be dismantled. This Jenny position is going to be big. Zinni's able to dodge and weave, finds a 1 kill, falls back, becomes a 1v1, and Casper gets the kill as Oreophilia was already low. Orangutan starts off with another pistol.
Yeah, they switch things up there. With Capricious dashing on towards the site, Big Scythe thinks that it will be a B push, but with Zinni actually capturing the first one for Big, then it all went down from there. Well, there was an attempt for that retake for Big Scythe, especially with Oreophilia getting all of these kills. It was just not enough because of the positions of OGT all around the A site. It was very hard for Big Scythe to counter at that point. In terms of utility, Big Scythe, they had great thrown against OGT, but in terms of the firepower, the frenzies, it was just too powerful for Big Scythe to really get away with.
And Orangutan were able to play that well too. Having that mid lurk presence gave them just a bit more to worry about. Still enough. They're able to dismantle that and really stop the retake from being as potent as it could be. But most of the defense is ready here on this Big Scythe squad towards that B site. They have the man advantage, yes, but there's just so much more firepower here for Orangutan, and they overrun the site because of it.
With all of those positions so close, the Spectres, they do a lot of damage, and Casper already knows where they are. So they set up a crossfire. Yamori is going to be in big trouble.
Well, she at least gets a kill before going down. But I don't have too much hopes here for the last remaining Crescent. Triple P comes out from the lane. That's a quick 2-0 here from Orangutan without much of a fuss.
Firepower was too great for OGT, and Big couldn't handle that. Yamori was able to get 1 kill, but then it was put to a halt when there was a push there towards the lane. And when it comes to repositioning, OGT, they've been great with this, right? With these quick decisions. And we saw that in Icebox. When there is going to be a threat there towards stairs, they just use it to their advantage. They have a longer range fight ahead of them. So against the pistols of Big, they win that round.
But now, Big, they have rifles to play with, and you want to start stringing these rounds. You want to start gaining rounds on the defensive side. The more you give on up, the much more difficult it can be on that less favored attacking side. Orangutan now on the execute, should get this switch close. But the anchor within the site, Ruma, that's a question. How did he deal with her, and how could she fend up against the push on in here? They seem to have some notion of the possibility of her being there. The smoke gives her a bit more to work with, but Capricious utilizes it against her.
It's also the blind here from Zinni, so a little bit of displacement for them to get the kill. And now Yumori with his big flank gets the kill anyway. And the frenzies don't really matter. Is OGT still winning the bonus? And this is what happened during the map of Icebox. When it comes to the buy, Big Scythe, they don't convert it to a win. And OGT, that's the reason why they got the huge lead at first. And then Big Scythe just doing these magical rounds during Icebox. And I'm guessing if OGT had already won Ascent from before, during the second day of the playoffs, is it going to be a mirror of what will happen? Big Scythe, they have really figured out a counter to all of these short-range aggression from OGT, especially with the Spectres.
Yeah, they're playing their bonuses really well, overrunning a lot of, the attacking side here, or in this case, the defensive side. And as you said, Donut, much akin to what we saw a while ago in Icebox. They really know how to convert these type of rounds. Going for this mid control as of the meantime does keep that Big defense guessing where the hit will be. Nano Swarm popped here on towards short. They're walking up on towards tree. I'm not too hopeful for Yoruma to be able to anchor this down, especially as the suppress comes.
Yep, and the null command is online. It will be the trigger for them to push back. But given this, right, they already have the space, but Oreophelio just peeks out with a little bit of information. The spike has been planted, but they're opting for the retake. With how Chloe is positioned, she might get a triple kill here.
Chloe, she gets the one at the very least and halts the retake of Big from being as decisive as it could be. Runs around, and you called it, Donut. A triple for Chloe at the end for the 4th round of Orangutan.
The timing was everything. Chloe was just hiding in that corner, and when she confirmed, the rest of OGT, they peek out with her. Japeeps together with Zinni. It was just cavalry bringing Big Scythe down. Not this point, right? If you're 4-0, Big Scythe, they have to be using all of these timeouts.
And now wouldn't be a bad time to call it, especially if they lose this upcoming round.
Yeah, they already have the buy. It would be the perfect opportunity for them to do so, but I guess it's not needed. Yamori already gets the first kill.
All right. Better start than what we've come accustomed to so far here in this round, or rather in this map specifically. But they have the lockdown, and as I say it, they place it down. Orangutan want to use this to maybe buy themselves some space, execute on the site, but having a breach here on a player like Crescent means that with that fault line online, she can still throw it, but why was she the one trying to dip in that fight? If anything, it should have been Yamori with a fault line prepped on the entry as they come in from the lockdown.
Yeah, it was just really bad timing in terms of decision making, right? The utilities would be everything, especially during the retake. Well, it's going to be a 5 versus 4, but it looks kind of grim for Big given their positions, and the Peeps just gets 2.
Hell being held here. Gwen able to find the 3rd kill, and Japeeps trying to get back within the fight, but they're ready. And finally, Big win around here up the retake. And whatever small mishaps they had, the fact that As we saw Capricious able to find the opening, rather, Yamori able to find an opening pick. That man advantage just gave them so much more to work with in the end.
Presence being detained might be a little bit of complacency for Team Orangutan, right? It means that they have the space and nobody would. They didn't really figure out that the retake would be too soon. They just caught OGT off guard. They get their first win. But if they keep this coming, then they might have a chance against OGT's post-plant positions. But for sure, with how Zinni actually works this way, Zinni with that flash, just so amazing. A perfect counter to that last round.
Grounded.
Oh, shot here from Capricious. Finds Yamori once more. And Big needed a pick in return, in retaliation, to try and tie up the man count here. But now, they got the Hunter's Fury still, that Cosmic Divide, but I wouldn't wager for them to use it successfully if they don't find a pick first. They have to try and equalize the odds just a bit more, because otherwise these could be ults thrown to the wayside.
Be careful about this. Oreophilia has an inkling. She's blinded though. She doesn't spot Zinni, but she gets the kill through that recon bolt.
Zinni doesn't look her way. Gwen able to spam on through, gets the one, but could not confirm the transfer. And if ever it didn't come, Chloe would have been there on the flank as well to get the trade. The Orangutan once more. They just look so much more prepared. And I guess as well as just apt at what do they have to do.
Yeah, they usually prepare for the worst, right? And they prepared for that round where aggression is gonna be a solution for Big Scythe. And what they did was they used Zinni's flash and then countered it with a double peek. Big Scythe, they were punished for that. And for these rounds, right, in terms of early aggression, they don't want to dip again because there are 3 people from Big Scythe there towards A main. They immediately rotate towards A, where, of course, Iruma and as well as Crescents are the one guarding the site, and Crescents has a shorty.
Isn't that what we see a lot of times from Orangutan? They simply have the better read on the situation. They go to where there's a bit less presence here. But Iruma from the back of the hall, rather from the back of the boathouse, able to get that kill. Capricious on the swing, shouldn't be much of a problem, and Japeeps follows up as well. Damage done, yes, but side control is there. Doesn't have so much utility to throw at this. They have that Hunter's Fury still. Paranoia connects for the free kill on the Casper.
One enemy remaining.
There's the follow-up as well. Oreophilia, last one left alive. The Orangutan once more, able to convert these anti-ecos.
Ophelia, she's been one of the players for Big Scythe, really left all alone during these clutch situations. I feel like for her being the smartest person in the lobby, right, you would think that there would be an opportunity for the rest to wait for her and then make a plan of attack. But that's not the case. It's usually her just sitting all alone in the site. The rest of her teammates already down. And maybe this could be one of the reasons why they won against Sapphire, but could not win against OGT. Because if the rest of the members of Big Scythe are overheating, that's a perfect counter to how Sapphire plays. But against OGT and the brain power of Zinni and as well as Japeeps, right? You wouldn't be able to use that same formula to win against OGT and Ascent.
It's a very different stylistic matchup in contrast to, as he said, you know, Sapphire. So sometimes it's not about having the better team or beating the better team in terms of power level. Sometimes it's just your playstyle matches up better against another team. And that was the case with Big versus Sapphire. And it's the exact opposite with them here versus Orangutan right now. Timeout finally called here by Big in the first half, as they need to stop the bleeding. They're on the defensive side, by far the favored side here on one of the most defender-sided maps in Ascent. And yet Big struggle on the half they need.
Used to string on a couple of rounds during the defense when they take mid control, but I guess they switched it up a little bit. Maybe they're applying what they learned from yesterday's Sapphire game onto OGT, but it seems as if with how they're positioning the map, they have the same plan. But in terms of that mid-round calls, OGT just comes out on top.
The mid round has to be something that Big are gonna, or should be, have to be able to rectify in terms of making better decisions as a whole, as a unit. See how they play this one on out though. They have the alarm bot due towards mid to know if the cross ever does come. And we're seeing the switch up with Oreophilia to the Astra, as I talked about last time. She was on that Omen, and I thought that gave them a bit better aggressiveness to play with, but this time they want to play a bit more of a utility game. The Breach, the Astra, and really halt down Orangutan with the utility that they've got, but they're not playing to the strengths of their composition is a problem.
Yeah, and the Paranoia will just be precision in terms of utility. The flash first, and then the Paranoia? Not really, it's just the line from that KO. And the peeps. Oh, it's stuck in the box though. Yamori takes a headshot.
30 seconds
Look
left.
at this fight, still being held by Yamori. Those are the times you kind of got to dash out of that and just be happy with a 4v2 advantage now. A bit more winnable for Orangutan, and they can rotate towards that A site. That's exactly what they do. So Casper gets a plant down here towards A. And the cross, it's going to be difficult for Zinni now knowing that Crescence is here. But this just buys more time, buys more space, and halts the retake.
She didn't wait though. If patience was her game, then she could have caught Zinni. With Casper here with an open plant, they are able to. He's defended from short. It's now down to Zinni.
Comes out of the corner before she was really ready there. Smoke on up. Couldn't deny this defuse, but the swing from Crescence is just perfectly timed. Big finally get their second round, but look how close it could have come. Fortunate here that Orangutan weren't able to maybe get an early pickoff in that 3v2.
Yep, and it was Casper just moving and aggressing towards a short through that window that was really, I wouldn't really say it was a mistake, but when it comes down to sneaking up on the heavens, right, you have to be careful, you have to be precise with your shots. And Zinni there was left at 70 HP. Could have been a winnable round, but that smoke was just also beautiful there by Oreophilia covering the one defusing the spike.
2-6 as of the moment. They need a bit more. And to get an opening start like that, is that more that they need in this case? Blades on out for Capricious to try and press on the issue. They're looking for the pick in retaliation. They went for that mid push, but the counter B push is what really worked out here for Big. Now applying pressure towards that tree, Oreophilia. She doesn't have a star prep, which means they can simply overrun her and force her back with just the sheer amount of presence they have.
This is gonna be Sly for Capricious, but Oreophilia was ready for that push. Zinni is able to plant down the spike and confirm who are in heaven, but I don't think that is enough. Numbers are in favor of Big Scythe, but Japeep strikes back.
Enemy remaining.
Mori gets that high kill. A 3k for her. Zinni's the one. Just the sole defender of the spike, and it wasn't enough against Yamori with that 4k.
Yamori here. Doing lots of work on this Big Scythe side, and they finally string 2 rounds in a row. But this is exactly what we saw in Icebox Donut on that first half. They go down 6-1, tie up 2, rather gain 2 rounds to take it 6-3, but just simply were nailed and stamped there for the rest of the half. So they're gonna still need a bit more. Orangutan try and halt their pace, try and halt their momentum here with a timeout, and try and recuperate and regain themselves.
I think this is what they need. At this point, after a couple of rounds that OGT has won, right, Big Scythe would have figured it out already. And that quick rotation towards a short during that round, and with Oreophilia just deciding to give away short and then proceed to the heavens, then that was, the repositioning was just on point, and OGT did not really have a counter to all of that drop down from Big Scythe there, and even Yamori coming from short.
Yamori, her confidence that we, were swooning over during Icebox is really something to behold, because when you have a player that confident, and you're a team like Big Scythe who are have been down in this map, in this series at the very least, especially when it comes against matches in general versus Orangutan. That gives them, you know, just a bit more, I guess, hope, really, to fight in these cases. And to not let that mental get to you is a big part of what can make a big team successful. They're going for this B main push once more, but will finally be read by Orangutan. No, it still doesn't. The swing from Capricious immediately shut down.
Yamori is mirroring how Capricious would usually take on these first few seconds of the round, and maybe Capricious did not expect that at all. But at this point, if you are big and you're gonna be against OGT, then probably use their own cards against them. And Chloe here, as you mentioned, right, Yamori is gonna be one of the people to watch out for Big Scythe. The confidence is oozing from her.
Well, that confidence is something, as I said, can be very beneficial. But here comes on the push from the backside. The flashpoint on out. Zinni connects with the opening shot, finds a second, and clears the entirety of that boathouse. But Yamori on the trade. Casper at the ready and finds a follow-up on Aureophilia. 1 to 3. As Gwen has got so much to do here. Could not get the trade immediately. It's going to be a difficult clutch, Donut.
Definitely. With this clutch, though, Gwen, we've seen her rise to the occasion. But against Casper, and how she was able to get that kill and that precision of a bullet to the head. And that's going to be quite hard to counter. Casper's just waiting for her. Confirms with that dart that they are there. And Casper wins that round for the team. She anticipated another one to walk out. It was probably a pre-fire, but that reaction time for her was just good. And these are types of rounds that we expect, right? Casper, when we saw her earlier as the Killjoy, she was more of the anchor for the team, but we love to see that type of Omen play. And that's the main difference between her as an Omen and Aureophilia as an Astra. She usually typically wins these rounds and have the ACS of higher than her teammates in OGT from last year, and I'm happy to be seeing her pick up that same pace that we saw from her last year.
Oh, for sure. The constant improvement, a step always in the right direction, is something that certainly benefits them as a team as a whole. Like Big Scythe here. Blades on out. Lots of ultimates to throw out. That Rolling Thunder especially is one to watch out for. How they utilize it in this round. They save it for the next. Shouldn't be, you know, throwing that out willy-nilly anyways, unless they can secure the proper advantage. Now here comes on out the push. Nothing really to stop that. Only delay the inevitable. And the plant should go down.
It's gonna be Casper just checking in towards the site with that shadow step available for her. Then you can just quickly get away with things, but Aruba just waiting here. Door is open. Yamori is gonna be stringing out, and Capricious, though, is not phased at all. Casper as well with another one of those kills. And Gwen strikes back.
One enemy remaining.
Well, pushing on in here. Zinni gets that kill. It's all on the Crescents and that 1v2. Swing on wide, but Casper ready on the trade towards stairs. That secures Orangutan's 8th.
Last round in the half.
Although OGT, they did have the firepower, but it was just down to Casper
Enemy remaining.
having that pixel peak. And then getting that kill. But Big was almost there to get that win. And at this point, they do have Yamori on that operator. But we've never seen them play early aggression in mid. They won a couple of rounds from their last match in Ascent. But maybe this is their way of countering OGT and how they play together.
And that playstyle of them playing together isn't really, I think, the biggest problem here for Big. It's more the opposite where Big, they're the ones who can really kind of utilize, once again, the strengths of their composition. They have so much more utility to throw on out, but as it come to that fact, the operator always a difficult thing in a retake, but it doesn't even come to it as Aruma does eventually fall down. The flank here from Zinni pushing that heaven with the drone, just way too much. And our panelists, I think, they've got something to say.
9-3 half from the squad of Orangutan Raf. With that, OGT are marching ever closer to that familiar 2-0 onto Big Scythe. I want to talk about something that Black and Blue mentioned just now, just about the agent composition and how Big Scythe have so much utility that they're not utilizing correctly. What are they doing wrong?
Well, aside from that too,
Your
and
mic.
Ooh, hang on, guys. Okay, there you go. I got too focused on my notes that I forgot to open my channel to all my other colleagues. But anyway, as I speed run through this, I feel like it's not also just an agent thing, right? I feel like this is also player matchup already, because it feels like OGT has had enough data in those maps and in the previous halves to really understand how Big Scythe want to operate. So even if the utilization of that breach wouldn't be considered optimal, they have an idea of what to do. But as we mentioned, Orangutan is just in the way before the setup. Therefore, Big Scythe cannot really relay the information to their team and how they really want to portray their playstyle.
And just talking about that playstyle as well, we said from map 1, you can't play timid coming into this one because it's a do or die. Like coming into this switch, Ref, what do we think? Do we think that there's a chance for that Big Scythe comeback?
I think so, but OGT has won majority, if not all the pistol rounds, and that has been a huge contributor into their round lead. They even got that bonus round to hit that magic reset earlier, which I believe could be taking a bit of a mental toll on Big Scythe. And my goodness, deja vu, this is very similar to what happened in that previous matchup. So I hope Big Scythe is going to come into this one with a bit more of a plan.
Yep, they're going to need more than just a bit of a plan if they want to avoid that history from repeating itself once again. Of course, if OGT do win this one, they will be through into the lower bracket finals, whereas for Big Scythe, they have to win here. All right, we're about to find out what's going to happen. Donut and Black and Blue, back to you.
Well, Big Scythe, they have to come up with a big plan, but the question is, can they execute it perfectly? Because this is what happened in Icebox earlier, and Black and Blue, it's looking a bit shaky for Big Scythe. And
Well,
OGT, with how they are playing right now, it seems as if the steam is in their favor.
I remember asking you if you were superstitious, Donut, and rightfully so. You like to base things on the facts that statistically this shouldn't be a comeback. And that happened, right, during the last game. They weren't able to really make it happen, but maybe this time around, let's let bygones be bygones. And let's see if Big Scythe, can change their fate coming into this. As they're on the attacking side this time. Once again, Orangutan, the team here that has been really playing as a team. You can see that coming to effect here. All of them focusing on mid.
Spike down mid.
A lot of them, actually 5 of them, they're in mid. And if they actually double dip, that might be something that they have to be cautious about. So they slow down the pace. And with how they are positioned, they want to be able to cross mid. But Casper is here just guarding it, probably giving that communication back to the members of OGT. It's Zinni and Japeeps just holding down the fort here in A.
Well, swing on here. Going to be delicate. Japeeps with a shock dart finds Gwen as they try and push on in. They do get side control, but I don't know if it's going to last for too long. There's simply such a big player advantage here for Orangutan. Casper swinging on through. They're simply not giving any breathe here, any space for them to breathe. And Aruma goes down as well. Orangutan, another pistol round. And Big Scythe, an even worse start on the second half than their Icebox was.
Big Scythe, they had a plan to go aggressive towards Heaven, but that push out towards the smoke was not something they expected, and that recon bolt actually confirms where they were. Casper wasn't actually looking at the player down in that corner, but once they glowed, I mean, the flowers bloom also for OGT, and 10-3 is the score. This is a tough task for Big Scythe, and they are opting not to buy up. Usually when you're down at the dumps, right, during this time, during the second round, you would buy up. But no, they want to be able to use all of the guns healthily for the next one.
They want the real full buy, but there isn't much of a cushion for them. They're losing some rounds here. So these rounds, they have to at least make it difficult or expensive if they can't win it. But Chloe already finds 2 kills. This halts them on their push.
Go down. And if Casper actually knew the people were behind her smoke, then he would have gotten the double. But Oreophilia, she is still alive. Chloe wanted to get the knife kill.
She wanted to try and maybe disrespect a bit, or also, you know, play for the meme. It doesn't come. As I was saying,
we haven't
Donut.
even seen Peeps get a knife kill just yet.
Oh, to be fair, yeah, like she's the one who loves to go for it. Oreophilia did the other day though, but not this one. Not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Yeah, you had a thought, Black and Blue. I'm so sorry, because I just noticed in terms of the stats, I also put that in my notes. I cross off some of the boxes here. Knife kills for the Peeps. It hasn't been done just yet.
Well, she wants it, for sure. Who wouldn't? With such a big cushion, but as I was saying, you know, they have to make those type of rounds expensive, at the very least, if they're not going to be able to win those ecos, especially with the big cushion that Orangutan have, but they weren't able to do it just yet then there. And if Orangutan, who have been very successful in converting these bonus rounds, do it again, that might be the nail in the coffin for Big.
With how Yamori is positioned, I guess once the smoke dissipates, then the Spectre can overpower this Vandal, given that Capricious and Chloe have that great angle. But confirmed is now that information, and Yamori loses to that duel.
Once more, the bonus here, always looking so potent for Orangutan. Execute to come onto this A site, spraying on through, spamming the smoke, doesn't connect on much. Shock darts to try and hamper the plant a bit more. Casper swinging wide, connects the shot anyways. Big Gwen on the train on Capricious. They're simply bomb rushing the site here and overrun them with sheer power. Orangutan take match point.
Match point.
My God, they're like running over the sites and just spraying and praying, and every time there will be an opponent crouch peeking like that. That was just such an amazing play. They were swarming the site from all around, from A short, from the heavens, dropping down. And if you're big and you lose that buy, I think it's looking good. I mean, you asked me if I was superstitious. I would really say no. It's already match point, Black and Blue. And they're left with a Sheriff, a Spectre. Yeah. This is going to be their last chance. If they win this, yes, they rack up the credits. But with how Orangutan is playing, they're playing so confident, even against the rifles of Big Scythe.
Well, now would be a good time to turn superstitious and believe in a higher power. Pray to the heavens above, and look within yourself to make this comeback happen. Big Scythe at tournament point here. They lose a single round at this point. They go down and are eliminated from the tournament. We are in the lower bracket, and that will send Orangutan to move up further and take on RRQ Kaguya in the lower bracket final right on after. Difficult position for Big to be in with such a huge lead.
Very difficult. It's like a flight of stairs, but it's 100 for you to get up. During the middle, right, we said that it was going to be a journey for them for the comeback, but they haven't really taken the step. Even with that buy, they don't achieve what they need to do. They need the plan, but they can't execute it properly. That's the biggest challenge.
The execution, it has to come in perfect here. Chloe and Casper find every kill going their way. Oreophilia able to get the trade, but it's down ultimately to a 1v3. And Chloe secures the round, the game, the map, the series, and the lower bracket final appearance for a podium finish. That is Orangutan taking out and eliminating now Big Scythe.
Orangutan had the perfect formula, right? And Big Scythe, they tried their best to counter. In their previous map in Ascent, they were able to at least rack up 8 points. But with the 12-3 victory for OGT, the confidence is just oozing from these players. And Chloe even opting for that knife kill. Well, a big congratulations to them because they advance.
Yeah, you can see that they just fully felt it today, and unfortunately for Big Scythe, this is going to be the last time we're going to see them for this tournament. Hope to see him back. In the meantime, I'm still Black and Blue. With me has been Donut. We'll see you guys in a bit. But our panel, Jenny and Raph, have got some kind words to say.
And with that, OGT dropped Big out of the competition in an almost poetic way, the exact same way that they dropped Big to the lower bracket on day number 1 in the first place. It's a shame that this does mean Big Scythe are eliminated from Open 1, but hopefully they do come back stronger in June for Open 2. Of course, the flip side is that this means Orangutan are through to the lower bracket finals. We saw them at halftime. We were saying they were just all systems go, but when they come back after the half, that was even more impressive than they were before. Raph, talk us through that.
Oh, man, I'm glad that you brought that up because we are inching closer and closer to who may bring the heat towards SMG, and I guess we're going to be breaking it down with a scoreboard here. And I feel like the points that we made during the halftime were still very present. Again, Orangutan is so good at maximizing that pistol round, but mainly because they've snuffed out the behavioral options on the side of Big Scythe. It necessarily wasn't just the agent matchup, but because they knew the tendencies. And with the body language they displayed at the end of the match, it was just sheer confidence. So prep time OGT is a sight to behold, but as usual, we see Amori still competing, still performing, despite being against all odds, as well as Casper, who has been crowned as one of the most active playmakers in the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, Omen MVP, you love it to see it. It's not often that we do see that happen, but of course it's gotta be given over to Casper. This time around, Capricious taking a bit more of a backseat this time. And I mean, Big Scythe, you know, they did field Aureophilia this time in map number 2 instead of Marsh that they had in map number 1. Kind of looked like it was working out just in terms of player, in terms of agents, but just as a whole, as a team, it wasn't enough to win them any more rounds. So 13-3, it's always got to be tough, right? I mean, Big, I'm not sure what their mentality was coming into this series again today, but they already had lost to Orangutan 3 days ago, and we were kind of hoping that they would be a bit more prepared for today.
Absolutely. We were hoping for quite a bit of an explosion on their side, especially with what they've achieved in the last 3 days or so, but once again, the memory of OGT is just way too good. And you did mention during the break that Chloe's positioning is absolutely divine. It's very rare that we see her play in a bad spot, nor does she make those one-way spots work. I mean, she is just so keen on just being the hard anchor for this team, and we love that type of flexibility. It's either she's going to try and take up the duelist role or just lock it up for the opposing team.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in the highlight reel just now as well, just her positioning over at Tree right there, just pretty much netting her that triple just because of how smart she is playing on the map. And you love to see it. It's exactly what you want to see, especially as mentioned, who does play a couple of different agents. Just whatever her team needs, she is there to anchor for them. And it's not just about the smart play, but it's also just about winning those gunfights, just that pure skill in terms of your gun and your crosshair placement. Casper as well, I think the early rounds you were talking about, the pistol rounds, and how Orangutan, they don't lose those as well, and it's a treat to see. This is a very well-deserved MVP, I think, to no one's surprise as well, that Casper's going to bag this one up.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when you have an Omen on your team, it usually means that your window of opportunity for taking a site is a little shorter just because of the duration of the smokes. But once again, Orangutan, they're just so good at utilizing the strengths of all their players as well as Casper. And I have to highlight Zinni again. Zinni does everything necessary to take the round. Either she'll be super supportive in the form of her breach a few days ago, or be a little more aggressive with that KO. We saw her take so many fights that were clear-cut, should have been a little more difficult, but again, she has that sense of duty, basically. Hey, I have to win this for my team. We saw that in the Viper and Icebox as well, and now it flexed over to that initiator role.
Yep, and I mean, OGT, they just won this series, but there is absolutely no room for them to breathe just yet because while they are one step closer to completing that lower bracket miracle run, the final Titan at the gates before that are going to be RRQ Kaguya, and we're going to get to see the clash of these two giants right after this break.
We wanna get it crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here. Know we getting hype. We wanna get it crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round.